What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here back with another video. And man, does it feel like we cannot go a single week anymore without talking about Mac Jones or just the Patriots quarterback situation, which really should not have to be a thing. We should not be talking about who the Patriots quarterback is for next season. The only thing we should be talking about is how we are going to get the best out of Mac Jones and see if he's the guy in year 3. That's the only thing we should be saying is we need to figure out what we have to do to surround Mac with what he needs and see if he can be our guy for the foreseeable future. That is what year 3 is for. But no, we're talking about Lamar Jackson to the Patriots. We're talking about Bailey Zappi starting for the New England Patriots. We're talking about the Patriots drafting a quarterback now in the first round. Absolutely bizarre. But by the title, you can tell that we're going to be talking about the news that came out today that the New England Patriots supposedly have been shopping around third-year quarterback Mac Jones. And this one blows my mind. And there's a lot of thoughts I want to get into about this. And I know some of you are going to say, Patriots Global, Patriots Global. It was debunked, bro. Don't worry. All good. It wasn't debunked. And I know Mark Daniels it was, who said that he hadn't heard anything about this and, news to him and whatnot. What I'll say is that just because one reporter reports something and another reporter hasn't necessarily heard about it does not mean that it's not a real thing. That's something that people get misunderstood. Just because one guy didn't hear about it yet doesn't mean it's not real. And now there was a report, which I'll get into in a little bit, that I also want to hit on. But according to Mike Florio, who a lot of people have kind of gotten on his butt saying, well, he's not very reliable. He's pretty damn reliable. He's a guy that I personally trust. Every now and then a reporter doesn't necessarily get something right, and sometimes things happen. But he broke the whole Brady tampering with the Dolphins before he was supposed to storyline, and everyone was like, okay, dude, shut up, that's not true at all. And then it came out that it was true. So I believe in Mike Florio, and I believe that there's some truth here, but he came out today and said that Bill Belichick has shot Mac Jones to a multitude of different teams this offseason that could include, not does include, but could include the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Commanders, the Raiders, and the Texans. Now, there was a report, or when this came out, I don't know who the reporter was, but they basically said, I can confirm that Belichick has not contacted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or talked to them. And what I will say to that is that I don't think that this is a report essentially saying that Belichick has talked to every single one of these teams and reached out to every single one of these teams, but rather saying these are teams that he could have talked to and teams that could be a potential suitor if the Patriots do decide to move on from Mac Jones at some point. Now, Florio also adds that nothing is imminent at this current time, and honestly, nothing could happen at all. But he does say it is a possibility and that teams could actually pivot to the New England Patriots about Mac Jones if they are not able to get a quarterback or their quarterback in the upcoming 2023 draft, meaning that if Mac Jones does get traded, it very well could be, let's say, during the 2023 draft or following the 2023 draft. Now, something else that Florio does add is that essentially the reason behind these rumors and the reasoning behind Belichick potentially shopping Mac Jones, and you can call this a rumor if you want, but it's 100% true because Doug Kyed even said this himself today. The tension between Belichick and Mac Jones is real. There is heat in the locker room between your head coach and your starting quarterback, your year 3 quarterback, and that's not what you want. And where do these issues stem from? Look no further than the black hole that was the 2022 season for the Patriots. Because that's exactly what this is. As we all know, I've touched upon this on this channel before, but essentially, Mac Jones went outside of the Patriots organization mid-season, later on through the season of 2022 to try to find help. Now, where did he go? He didn't go to other NFL teams. He went to where he played football previously. He went to Alabama and their coaches to basically say, the Patriots offense here is not working. We're not being successful. Any ideas of what can we do here? And Belichick was pissed off. This dude was furious that Mac Jones essentially went behind his back to go to his college team and say, hey, things aren't working out. And I understand both perspectives of here. You got to trust your head coach. You're not there anymore. They're not your coaches. You have to rely and essentially follow with what your head coach is saying, no matter how dumb or unsuccessful it essentially is. But at the same time, too, Belichick, you're friends with Nick Saban. You have ties back to Alabama. It's not like he's going to another NFL team or anything like that. He's going to a connection that you also have in a system that's very familiar. And at the end of the day, he just wants to succeed. Mac Jones is a winner. Mac Jones wants to succeed at the end of the day. He wants to play good ball, and you are putting him in a position to not do so. Now, a lot of speculation has also gone around Brian Hoyer. As we all know, Brian Hoyer always said, I want to stay in New England. There is no system I'd rather be in, especially at this point in my career. I want to stay here in New England or it's nowhere. The Patriots randomly release him. They have to pay him 1.7 to $1.9 million no matter when they cut him. They could have cut him at roster cutdowns and they still would have owed him the same amount, but they decided to cut him now, which is very strange. And now today, he goes and he signs with the Raiders. He uplifts his family who lives in Boston, who are very familiar with this area, obviously, and uproots them to go to Las Vegas after he just said that he only wanted to play here in New England, that this was his only system. He doesn't want to restart. The speculation, and I touched upon this in my last video, is that Belichick said, goodbye, Brian Hoyer. Get out of my locker room. Get out of my system. Because Brian Hoyer was vocally upset with the Patriots offense last year, with how it was being run. And he wasn't happy with it. Just like the entire offense wasn't happy with what was happening last year. He spoke out. He gets cut. And I thought it was very interesting all season long last year how Brian Hoyer had a concussion week 4, week 3, and this guy never returned. The Patriots easily could have brought him back from the practice squad, and I think they could have used that as a quarterback's coach for Mac Jones after only having Joe Judge as a quarterback coach and Matt Patricia, who obviously neither of those guys were successful last year. But Belichick said, you spoke out about me. Goodbye. And this is what I'm talking about. And I've never been a guy to say Bill Belichick is a problem. Bill Belichick is on the hot seat. Belichick needs to be fired. I've never went out and spoken bad about Belichick. I've always believed in Belichick. And to me, and I touched upon this in my last video, to me, it was never a Brady or Belichick type of thing. I think it was both of those guys put together. I think that Belichick builds the overall roster. Brady helped the Patriots offense easily. And without both of those guys, I don't think you win a Super Bowl. But you look at what the Patriots have done since Tom Brady has left, and you have to start saying, maybe it was Tom Brady, because Belichick, what in God's name are you doing? You bench Malcolm Butler against the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Brady's final year, you don't give him an offense. You let Brady walk because you wanted to continuously cut the amount of money that he was making when he's the best to ever play the game in the history of the game. You go out, Jarrett Stidham's your starting quarterback, and then last minute you bring on Cam Newton, whatever. That season doesn't go as planned, but that's okay. You go out and you sign guys to massive contracts like Nelson Aguilar and Jonnu Smith, who you overshot with those contracts. That clearly didn't work out for you. You make the playoffs once, but you get absolutely blown out by your division rival Buffalo Bills. And then in 2022, after you said yourself, Bill Belichick, that Mac Jones was showing a significant amount of improvement from where he was at the end of the season to where he is now. and you do everything possible to make sure that your quarterback going into year 2 is not successful. You do everything possible to make sure that he's not successful. Wherever you want to put him, Mac Jones played as the 10th to 15th best quarterback in his rookie season. Almost was offensive rookie of the year in 2021 also. But you decide to switch up the scheme for some reason, which clearly doesn't work. You didn't have the personnel to do so. You run 5 different schemes throughout the entirety of that season. You don't put him in a position to succeed. His offensive coordinator just left, and what do? You say, let me get a former defensive coordinator to call plays, and let me get a special teams coach to be your quarterback's coach. And Belichick said, if this does not pan out, blame me. And I firmly believe that Belichick thought this was going to work out. But you know what? It had such a colossal fall down of the entirety of the New England Patriots offense. This is probably the worst move Belichick ever made, was making Matt Patricia and Joe Judge the leaders of this offense. And in his entire career, this is probably the worst mistake he's ever made, because this is currently the downfall right now of him and the Patriots. And I have not heard him say once that he messed up or that it was an experiment gone wrong. What does he do instead? He keeps his lips shut. And anybody that spoke out against this offense from last year or was vocally not happy about this offense next year is either released or on the trade block. Well, released on the trade block or just not currently on the team, because Jacoby Myers spoke out, Brian Hoyer spoke out, Mac Jones spoke out, Kendrick Bourne spoke out. It's showing itself something. And at this point, to me, it's saying, well, Belichick, instead of sucking it up and saying, you know what, I messed up, I see their perspective on things, I see everybody's perspective of things. Belichick, it is not just your players saying this, it is the fan base, it is the owner, it is your boss saying this, it is league-wide people saying this. It is not just your players, but instead of sucking up and saying, you know what, yeah, that was a bad move. You know what, Mac, I'm sorry. Let me build upon you for your 3rd year. I messed up. Let me put the pieces around you that you need after a promising rookie year, and let's move forward. Belichick doesn't do that. He said, my pride's too much. Y'all hurt my feelings. And he rather tear this team down than to say he was wrong and actually put the actual talent that this team has on the field and get the best out of the talent that the Patriots have. Because we always heard Belichick can do anything. Belichick's the best head coach of all time. What has Belichick done since Brady left? Make the playoffs once and then get blown out in the first game, like I said? Absolutely fail a quarterback who's on his rookie deal. A quarterback going into his 2nd year, and you absolutely tarnished his career, or at least his career in your system. And you continue to do so. See, that's where I have an issue. And say what you want about, Mac Jones. Say what you want about whether you want Lamar Jackson or Bailey Zappi. There is no reason for anybody to sit here and say Mac Jones is not the guy. If you're sitting here saying Mac Jones isn't the guy, you don't watch football. You don't know football. Because while Mac Jones has not shown us that he's the future or that he deserves to be pinned in as the future, Mac Jones has also not shown us anything to say, you know what? He cannot be a quarterback in the NFL. He is not going to be successful, and he's not going to help out this team in any way, shape, or form. He's going to hinder them, if anything. He hasn't shown us that. There was a game this past season that goes very under the radar against the Jets, who the Jets have last year had a top 5 defense in the National Football League. Mac Jones puts up one of the best statistical games of his entire career. Over an 80% completion rate, 0 turnovers. Go check those statistics out. But we don't talk about that, right? This past year should be totally scrapped for Mac Jones, just like it should be scrapped for the rest of the offense. If you're going to give the rest of the offense a pass, you got to give Mac Jones a pass. Which, if you want to look at his rookie year, again, showed so much promise. No reason to say Mac isn't the answer. What bugs me too is that the Patriots never draft this high. We're sitting at 14 this year. That's a place the Patriots are never in. In 2021, we had 15. That's one of the most historical high picks for the Patriots. We don't pick that high. We're used to picking somewhere between 21 to 32. So that is a big value pick. That first round pick, no matter where it is, has so much value. That first round pick that high, so much value. And you're telling me you'd rather tear down that value and hit the restart button than to actually put in the proper work and quality towards your quarterback to see what that promise is, to see what you actually have after investing that 15th overall pick in him. And this is something that Alex Barth touched on, and I want to give him credit for it. And I couldn't agree more with it. And I wanted to touch upon it here in my video, is that if you have to figure out who your next quarterback is, you're hitting the reset button. You have Mac Jones on his rookie contract. This is where you should be building your team. You're in your prime time right now. If Mac Jones can be at least a guy, not necessarily the guy, but a guy, where you build around it and you make your run. Guys like Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche, Ramondre Stevenson, they're at the point in their career where you're going to have to pay them. They're towards the back ends of their contracts. You're going to have to pay those guys. Let alone guys like Matthew Judon. Now, you got to find a new Matt Judon, because he's not going to be here by the time you find your new quarterback and figure out if he's the guy or not. Because if you scrap Mac Jones, you're starting new and you're rebuilding. And as for what the Patriots could get in return for somebody like Mac Jones, if they trade him right now, I believe that it's at an all-time low. Yeah, you get 2 more years left and a potential 5th-year option, but teams are going to say, look at how he performed last year. That was horrific. He took a giant step back. I think we're going to give you a first-round pick. God, no. Now, if you're talking about trading him at the end of his rookie season, sure. Maybe you get a first-round pick then. But I don't think that a team is going to give up the first round pick for Mac Jones, especially if you look at teams like the Raiders, or you look at teams like Washington or the Buccaneers. Those are teams that are going to have higher first round picks because they're not great teams. And I guarantee you they're not going to give a high-end first round pick for Mac Jones based off of how he performed last year. Because whether teams believe in Mac or not, they're going to say, hey, man, look at how he performed last year. Football's a what have you done for me lately sport. Look at what he did last year. Sorry, we can't give you that first round pick. We'll give you a second, though, and that's excellent value. So, again, even from a standpoint on what the Patriots could get back in terms for somebody like Mac Jones, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Kraft loves Mac Jones. He's praised Mac Jones. And I don't think that Kraft would let Bill Belichick trade Mac unless it is of a high quality player that makes his team an ultimate Super Bowl contender right away that would be replacing him. And I don't see who that is. They're not going to go after Lamar. That's already confirmed that they're not. So who else would they go after at this point? It's not a good quarterback class this year either. You got a tough position. And we can't be in another situation like we were towards the back end of Brady's career between Brady, Belichick, and Kraft. We cannot do that. You're a young rookie quarterback in his 3rd year, and we're dealing with something that Brady had to deal with within his last, 3 years with this team? Right now, the future doesn't look good for the Patriots in terms of their starting quarterback. If I'm Mac Jones, I'm peed off. I don't even want to be here anymore. You're doing everything to sabotage not just my time here, but you're doing everything to sabotage his entire career. And what sucks is that Mac Jones wanted to be here. And there's so much drama lately around the Patriots over the last few years. It's just drama after drama after drama. And it just seems to always go back to Bill Belichick. This is football. This isn't a reality TV show. We shouldn't have to constantly be going through this. And, players are constantly saying, you don't want to play for Belichick. And we're like, what do you mean you don't want to play for Belichick? Maybe they have a point. Maybe there's something that they actually know that us Patriots fans aren't sitting back and actually listening to. And now we're finally starting to see it. Players used to want to come to the Patriots. They used to want to play for the Patriots. And Mac Jones was one of those guys. He wanted to come to the Patriots and be drafted by New England and work with Belichick. But after all this, I doubt he wants to be here. And after more drama, how much do players really want to play for Belichick? And how intriguing is it to come to the Patriots at this point? It just seems like less and less, and it seems like Belichick's making it harder and harder. At the end of the day, I don't think Mac Jones does get traded. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. I just don't think he does get traded, but the tension between Belichick and Jones 100% is real, and there's a genuine issue already fuming here in New England yet again between your starting quarterback and the same head coach has had this issue before. What are your guys' thoughts on this, though? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. Like always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and go Pats.